Would it surprise you if I said that being emotionally sensitive is a strength? Well, it is. So the example I have is if you have a cat in front of you and you clap your hands, it'll scare the cat. It'll hurt the cat's ears. Why? Because their hearing is sensitive. And so the noise hurts their ears and they run away. Is that a weakness for the cat that their hearing is so good? Or is that a strength? Well, it depends on the context. It depends on if they're in an environment with loud sounds or need to be in an environment with loud sounds, or if they need to be in an environment where they can pick up the tiniest little amounts of sound possible, such as a mouse scurrying. The same thing with emotions. You see, people who are emotionally sensitive, they have a keen awareness of even the smallest little bits of emotion, even the smallest little things that are just being conveyed by people that you could perhaps say a normal type person or a non-emotionally sensitive type person cannot sense. So, for example, for me, I will give you just some scenarios where I don't know how I could sense things, but I could. So my life carries some crazy examples of accepting crazy things. But one of them is when I was in Tijuana and I was just visiting for 2 weeks and I brought my motorcycle at the time down there. And I had the motorcycle parked behind a gate and I thought it was okay. It's behind a gate, it's on the street, and I have, the handlebar locked, everything else. I was reassuring myself it wasn't going to get stolen in the night. But towards the end of the 2 weeks, the last day, something set me off. Something about even just the way the people across the street were talking. I couldn't hear what they were saying very well. I didn't know exactly for sure what they were saying, but just something caught my attention, and I was worried about the motorcycle being stolen that night. I was very paranoid that night. I even went outside and double checked on it once. But I calmed myself down, like, it's okay, don't worry about it. I didn't have any issues the other nights, and I fell asleep. Woke up in the morning, and guess what? The motorcycle was gone. Now here's the question. My feelings weren't wrong. My feelings were absolutely correct that I felt something was going to happen. I felt it was going to get stolen. But how were they correct? Did the neighbors steal it? I don't know. It's possible that they were involved in it. Something about the way they were talking set me off. I couldn't prove it. There's no way, in Mexico I could talk to the police over there, La Policía Municipal. There's no way I could talk to them and say, hey, these people are part of it. I have no evidence or any proof or anything. But somehow, I had been set off by the way they were speaking, by the way they were interacting, that led me to believe it would happen. And it was absolutely correct that it did happen. Alright? Now, obviously that's a crazy example, but even in foster care, all the time, I'm made aware of things, acutely aware of things about the foster kids in my home. So, for example, I know, I can feel it, I can literally feel it when a child is at risk of committing suicide. I can feel it. I can literally feel it when a child is at risk of exploding and becoming destructive, destroying my belongings, destroying my house. I can literally feel it, even though outwardly, I don't know how outwardly I can tell, because they might be just, playing a game, watching a movie, not interacting. They're just, just everything will seem normal outwardly in appearance. But inside of me, I can somehow feel it, that they are close to exploding, that the tiniest, smallest thing will cause them to explode. And you know what? That feeling is true. That feeling is correct. Because it might not happen that day, but it might happen the following day. It might happen 2 days later. that kid can explode and do all this damage. How did I know? I don't know. I could feel it. I could feel it. I'm an emotionally sensitive person. It doesn't take much for me to feel that something is going to happen, to feel that someone is in a certain state of mind. I can feel it. That is what I get with being an emotionally sensitive person. That's the benefit of being an emotionally sensitive person, just like a cat who has keen hearing can hear a mouse a distance away, just barely scuttling in the grass. The cat can hear it and pinpoint where it is. Similarly, me, as an emotionally sensitive person, I can tell something is wrong. I can tell something's going to happen. Intellectually, I might not be able to pinpoint it exactly, but emotionally, I can feel it because I'm sensitive there. I can tell, and it's accurate. There's even one instance in which I had a kid who actually did attempt suicide. And there's a whole bunch of series of things going on where I could tell already because of the series of outward events. He was at risk, but where it gets really, really crazy is that although the one particular day he tried suicide, I didn't know that day that he had tried. But it was a day in which there's a whole bunch of emotional issues going on, a whole bunch of anger. He couldn't go to school, and I was super worried that he couldn't go to school, but also he was not in a state to get into school. So I went to work, and I contacted him at various points during the day to check in on him and to see what was going on. But there's a specific point in the day around noon in which I was trying to contact him every 5-10 minutes. Like something inside of me was super, super paranoid. The following day, he reported to the school counselor that he had attempted suicide the day prior when I was super worried. Even more so, that time when I became incredibly paranoid and was trying to contact him every 5 to 10 minutes, that is the time he said he attempted suicide. During that time, I felt it. I felt it. So here's the question. Me, I'm an emotionally sensitive person. I'm like that cat. Clap your hands and the cat will run away. But with emotions, I'm like that. You come at me with all this anger and rage and whatever terrible emotions you want to throw at me, I'm like that cat. It's too overwhelming for me. I cower. I want to run away. I maybe won't because I've learned in adulthood to sort of counteract that. But still, it makes me flinch. It makes you want to curl up in a ball. It makes you want to run away because I feel those emotions so powerfully. Even the slightest little bit of uncaring, of being incompassionate, of whatever, bad desire, even the slightest conveyance of emotion, I can sense it, I can feel it because I'm an emotionally sensitive person, like a cat with its hearing, who can sense the tiniest of noises a distance away. So am I with emotions. The tiniest little bit of emotion, of feeling, I can sense it, I can feel it. The tiniest bit of ill want, ill desire, I can feel it. I'm an emotionally sensitive person. But is that a weakness? It depends on context. It depends. Is it weakness to know when a child is at risk of exploding with anger? Is it a weakness to know when they are at risk of suicide? Is it a weakness for me to sense when people wish me harm, even if it's the slightest, tiniest amount of it? Is it a weakness to feel and sense in me when I'm being taken advantage of, being manipulated? Is that a weakness? Well, perhaps you could say so. Perhaps you would rather go through life being completely oblivious to those around you who wish you harm. Or perhaps you do wish to know so you can brace for it, so you can prepare for it, so you can handle it and deal with it and make sure that the better outcome is what occurs. But not all people who are emotionally sensitive, such as I am, use it that way. You see, here's one of the big problems that you can encounter, is as an emotionally sensitive person, it can create feelings of anxiety. It can create feelings of pain. It can create all sorts of different emotions in you. Because a person that's oblivious to it, they don't have to deal with it. But you're aware of it because you are sensitive and you can sense it. You can sense it at a very low level that other people can't on an emotional level. But once again, do you let that conquer you, or do you use your emotional sensitivity to empower you? Do you use that emotional sensitivity to make the world a better place? To recognize if you're being taken advantage of and to stop it? To recognize all the different innuendos that are going on in society and different sort of willpower that people have, whether it be willing bad things or willing good things, to have that sensitivity, right? Which would you rather? It depends on how you're going to use it. You see, if you're going to use your emotional sensitivity to curl up in a ball and feel just a huge amount of anxiety and fear towards the world because you can sense things at a very low level, emotionally speaking, than what the majority can sense. If you're just going to do that, then yes, it would be better that you'd be completely indifferent, completely oblivious to even the bad will of people you're encountering in your life. It'd be better just to be oblivious to it than to be curled up in a ball, because then it's conquering you. Even if it doesn't directly touch you, it's still conquering you. But I'm telling you, emotional sensitivity can be a strength. Just use it as such. You wouldn't see, for example, a cat going to a rock concert because it would hurt. It's not the place for a cat, right? But a cat using its skills in a field, for example, hunting mice, that cat is just at the top, right? That cat conquers in that environment. Same thing for you. Perhaps as an emotionally sensitive person, you're not going to conquer by being a politician. You're not going to conquer by trying to rise up to the level of CEO, right? Those are levels at which the ill desire of other people would completely obliterate you if you were an emotionally sensitive person. But yet there are other places in society where, as a person sensitive to this level, you conquer. You can defeat all sorts of enemies and problems and hardships. You can conquer. Just change the mentality of your emotionally sensitive state. Change your mentality. Use it as an advantage. And go conquer the things in life which you have the skill set to conquer. Thanks for watching, everyone. This is Sol.